guys, my name is Michael and welcome to a new GSimpleAction tutorial. In the last video we saw how we can create our open callback and we saw how the GSimpleAction set state works. But the GSimpleAction set state gave us some information which we needed to 100% understand it, which means we need to concentrate on this function first before we move and before we try to understand and learn these states. It says this directly updates the state. This should only be called by the implementer of the action, so users of the action should not attempt to directly modify the state. Instead, they should call the GAction change state, and this function, basically it is a function very important which says request a state, request for the state of the action to be changed. It is just a request, it is not that something happens. What exactly means, I'm going to show you something very interesting. For this, let me introduce you the second signal, which is the change state. The change state says a function which, as you can see, has the action, a value, not a parameter, a value, and a user data. And it says indicate that the action just receives a request to change its state, so the value will always be of the correct state type. The type of the initial state pass it to GSim blah blah blah. If an incorrect type is passed and so on, is not emitted. Okay, so now let me show you something very interesting. I'm going to call this one because it is very important that you understand. So here, let me make a copy, and instead activate, I'm going to pass this time the change state, and here I'm going to say also change state callback. You will see something very, very interesting. Here, let's say static void change state callback. We need to, I'm going to copy these three things right here. So we have the simple action, we have the value, and we have the user data. Okay, now here let me go back. Here the documentation says something about the GAction change state. What exactly means, we'll see in a second. Instead, I'm going to stop for a second, which means I'm going to comment this function because it's very important for you to understand something here. Sorry. And here we need this call right now, and instead of this one, this time I'm going to say value. Let me compile it and run it for a second. Yes, looks good. Here I'm going to change to activate callback. Now before we move, let me explain you what I'm doing right here, because it's very, very important that you understand. At this point on the open action, I'm monitoring the activating signal where the activate callback it gets passed, and in the change state signal we are monitoring it and we are passing change state callback function. At this point these two callbacks should get called. Let me compile it and run it. You will see something very interesting. Nope, I forgot something. Print the change state callback was called, whatever. It is very important that you see this message. So let me compile it and run it again. At this point, watch what happens when I click the open. It says the item was activated, and now I click again and nothing happens. Why is that happening? I mean, why is not printing this message? Well, because if you monitor these two signals, then you need to understand again the difference between the activate and the change state. In the activate, basically happens not only what it is related to the item which gets clicked. So in other words, that to understand, once that you click here, basically it's just a click, it's nothing special of it. But if you want to change the state of that item, if it has a state, then you need to inform the change state signal that you want to do those changes. So basically here is the thing with GAction change state. Once that you call this function, I'm going to call it right here, where we need to pass the action and the value. So GAction GSimpleAction, and the value will be the parameter in this case. Now if we call this function, we are basically inform our application that the change state signal should match, or it should happens, and then this and only then this callback function will get called, and the action set state will set the state. Watch, you see now. Okay, I have a problem. Let me see where exactly it is. GAction simple, yes, null. Still, we still have a problem. GAction change state. Why it is doing like this? Because yes, of course, sorry, my bad. I'm trying to pass a null, which is also null, which is wrong. No, what we need to do, we need to get state. So I'm going to copy these things right here. Sorry guys, my bad. I was almost putting you on the wrong track, because we have no parameter. There you go. You see, we have no parameter, we have only a state. So I'm trying to pass a parameter which doesn't exist, or worst, a null parameter, which of course it is bad. What we need instead, in the activate we need to pass the action state. As you can see, now everything works fine, isn't it? You see, at this point the item was activated, click it, and the item change callback was called. So basically now you see everything works fine. And here it is the part now where you create all these things which I showed you before. So I'm going to move that information inside here, which means I'm going to delete now this function because it's not needed. And now we have a change state, which basically get that change that state get changed once that we are informing with the GAction change state. And now if I compile it and run it, let me see. Let me click. The open is checked and says the item was activated, the open item was unchecked. And now if you click it, the open item was checked, and this is checked back there. Now because it's working, you don't need that print gprint right here, because it is not important. And basically this is the way how you work with this information. That being said, thank you guys for watching. If you like it, please subscribe, share with your friends and neighbors, and until next time, see you guys.